Today is Friday, October 18th, and today I learned that mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. So today, I mention this almost every video, but if you have not seen my other videos, I play softball, right? And that is one of the main things in my life that I'm trying to improve at. And I'm learning a lot from it, like things that are more like for these kinds of videos, but things that are more like for my game. And this is something that is helpful for both. So, today I learned that mindset is everything. Today, I had live at-bats, like live pitching, live at-bats, whatever. And last time I did this, I didn't do so great. And I just had a bad feeling whenever I thought about last time I had live at-bats, because it just reduced my confidence by a ton, and it was just not a fun experience. And as I was kind of stressing about that, I realized, okay, I need to go into it with a good mindset, because if I'm worried that like it's going to go the same as last time and I'm going to be like really bad, then that's probably what's going to happen. So I need to make sure I have a good mindset going into it. So post live at-bats, I did make a good mindset, and I actually did pretty well. I'm happy with how I did. And post live at-bats, I have realized a few different sections, a few different parts to performing at like a sport or performing at like a skill, just performance in general. So this doesn't apply to just sports, this applies to other kinds of performance-based activities. So I found a few things more about mindset. I want to talk about mindset more, but there are also some characteristics with skill that I want to touch on a little bit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your skill. There is a quote that goes, "Your confidence comes with the work you put in." So if you go into something and you don't know how to do it, and you've never done it before, and you're just kind of getting like thrown into deep water, and you like don't know what you're doing, then you're not going to have confidence in what you're doing, because you don't know what you're doing. So how can you have confidence in something that you don't know how to do? So your confidence comes with the work you put in. So you need to make sure that your total available skill, like your total skill, lines up with the minimum skill of the thing that you are going into. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you have a certain amount of skill within this certain thing, whether that's none or whether that's a lot or whether that's a medium amount. Ideally, the ideal situation is for your total amount of skill to be at least the minimum amount of skill that you need for this thing you're about to perform for. Preferably higher, but like you want it to match up with that, right? That makes sense. Okay, so not only do you have your total available skill, like your total skill that you have, but then when you're actually performing, you have your total applicable skill. So the amount of skill that you can actually apply in that moment, that when you're performing, that is what you want to maximize. You want to use as much of your available skill. You want to use as much of that as possible in order to perform at your best, right? If you're going to perform at your best, what is your best? You want to maximize your use of your best. So in terms of skill, that's kind of the goal, right? We're trying to perform at our best. We know, hopefully, the ideal situation is that our total available skill is like within a good range for the total available skill of like the environment. And we also want to maximize our total applicable skill. So like, what skill are we actually applying in this current situation? We want to maximize, like, it's kind of like two sets of like a bar graph kind of. So you have this bar graph. Let's say this is your total available skill. So this is the maximum amount of skill that you have in this certain skill or ability or activity or whatever. You want to maximize your total applicable skill for that current situation. You want to get it as close as possible to your total available skill. I hope this makes sense. Basically, to perform at your best, you need to understand what your best is. You need to utilize as much of that best as much as possible. So I know that was kind of like a long-winded explanation. But for me, right, when I had my first session of live ABs, I did bad. And I did not feel good about how I performed. And so it made me have the mindset, it made me think that my total available skill, the maximum amount of skill that I have, it made me think that that was lower than the total skill that you need in order to be playing at this level. I thought that I was just not there yet. But because I changed my mindset, and I'm going to talk about these mindset shifts in just a little bit, but because I changed my mindset, I was able to realize that no, my total available skill actually matches up with the amount of skill needed for live ABs or for playing at this level. So through that mindset shift, it basically helped me make the realization of where my total available skill is at. And I think that is important to know because it'll help you realize like what level are you at? What are your limits? What I mainly want to talk about in today's video is your mindset. So now we're going to talk about what kind of mindset shifts do we need and what kind of mindset shifts are we trying to apply within the different stages. So the first mindset shift that I made was before the performance. Okay? So my first live at-bat session goes bad. Have a bad mindset about it. Don't want to do it ever again because it feels like I'm bad about it, even though I know it's good for me, right? So before today, or before today's live at-bat session, I had the mindset, or I needed to change my mindset to be more positive. And I was literally thinking, if I go into it thinking in this negative way, then that it's going to turn out negative. So I need to think positive, so it turns out positive. Input equals output, right? Negative equals negative, positive equals positive. So I need to think in a positive way. The way I did this was that I set 3 goals. I have gotten this from Sahil Bloom. He's like a writer. He has his own like newsletter and he wrote like a book or whatever. But yeah, he's a really cool, he like has some really interesting ideas. But one of his ideas is that he sets ABC goals when he's trying to perform at something or within like a very specific situation. ABC goals. And that is what I did to help change my mindset from negative to positive. So what were my 3 goals? The A goal is like best case scenario. Like I would call it an absolute 110% win if this happened. Like best case scenario. The B goal is like, okay, that didn't happen, but if this happens, then I'm still like, that's still a good win. Like that's still pretty good. And then the C goal is kind of like the bare minimum. Like, if I did this, then it might not have been the best, but like at least I did it, right? So I set A, B, and C goals. And that really helped me. My A goal was like barrel up a bunch of hits, like catch a bunch of barrels and just like be really good, basically. My B goal was to just make contact because last time the contact rate was very low. So I just wanted to make consistent contact. And then my C goal was just to have fun. Like literally my dad was like, it's literally a game. Like you don't have to take it so seriously. Yes, you want to like be getting better, but you can't get better unless you're having fun. So my C goal was to just have fun. So I shifted my mindset. That helped me shift my mindset to not worry so much about what other people were thinking about me and how, like, what would happen if I did badly or whatever. But it just helped me shift it to be like, okay, I'm going to try to catch a barrel. I'm going to try to make solid contact. But if that doesn't happen and I just have fun, like, I'm fine with that. Because there's going to be more opportunities in the future and this is a time for learning. My biggest struggle was worrying about what others were thinking about me. But when I set those goals to things that I can control, then I stopped worrying about what those people were thinking about me because I've talked about this in, I believe yesterday or the day before, I talked about it in that video. We all are on our own journey and you don't need to worry about what other people who are on a different path are worrying about you because you're on a different path. So you're independent. You're not connected to each other. So that is the first mindset shift I made. Before the performance, shift your mindset from negative to positive. Shift your mindset from things that you can't control to things that you can control. And set the ABC goals and at least bare minimum accomplish that C goal. So that is what you do before the performance. So next we're going to think about what you're thinking about, what your mindset is during the performance. So in baseball and softball, when you are hitting, ideally you want to have like some kind of mental approach. And this is what I'm talking about. When you're performing at something, you need something to think about while you are doing your performance or doing your sport or whatever. Because first of all, if your brain is absolutely empty, then you're not maximizing your total applicable skill. You're not maximizing the amount of skill you can use. You're kind of just like brain dead, and being brain dead is never, like, that's not a good situation to be in because you have nothing to think about. You don't have a goal for your performance. You don't have nothing to think about. You're not focused. You're kind of just doing it, right? The opposite of that is thinking too much. So if you're thinking too much, then you get overwhelmed and you're not focused. The whole goal of this mental approach that you need for like when you're performing at this thing is to be focused. You need to be focused. So when you're performing at something, whether this is like a sport or like an instrument or like something like that, you need a mental approach to think about during your performance. And I think it is very helpful to just think like a 2-word phrase or like a 1-word phrase. So one that has been really helpful for me is just focus. Just focus your eyes on what you need to focus on, or do damage. Like that's one that's been helpful. Just be aggressive. That one has always been helpful. Be aggressive. Like just those very short mental phrases that you can repeat over and over and over and over and over again, and only repeat those words in your head. Don't worry about anything else, and just do what you're repeating in your head. So I'm like, focus, 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 right? So you need a mental approach to just repeat over and over again in your head during your performance. So that's what I did. What my mental approach was for today was I would go yes, 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 no. If I kept saying yes, then I would swing. But if I said no because it was a bad pitch, then I would not swing. And that was way more helpful than I thought it was going to be, because I've always heard that it would be useful, but I never really used it. But because I was so worried and so stressed about this, I was just like, okay, I need one phrase to repeat in my mind, and I'm just going to go yes, 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 no. Okay? So that was my mental approach, and it really helped. Like, I was able to swing it. Like, I had really good plate discipline. If you don't know what that is, basically I swung at good pitches and didn't swing at bad pitches. So we've gone over your mindset before the performance and your mindset during the performance. So then, now we need to talk about your mindset after the performance. Live ABs went really well, basically. I think these mindset shifts really helped drive my actual performance and helped me maximize, maybe not maximize, but helped me increase the amount of total applicable skill that I had in me. So afterwards, like, I'm in the car and I'm just trying to think through, like, what happened, like what was I, like, yeah, basically, like, how did it go? I just tried to reflect, basically. And there are 2 things that you need to do, and these are very, very obvious things that you need to do post-performance or post-whatever. You need to reflect on the good parts, and you need to reflect on the bad parts, basically. For the good parts, you need to be happy and grateful, and you need to accept your wins. Like, accept the good parts and accept your wins, because those ultimately help fuel your improvement. So I was watching through, like, thankfully my parents were, like, taking videos of my ABs, and I was, like, watching through them, and it was, like, a really good hit, and it's a really good sound. I'm like, that makes me feel really good and happy and great about myself. So you need to do that. If you only ever focus on the bad parts, then, like, it's not fun, and it defeats the whole purpose. So you need to make sure that you're reflecting on the good parts, and you are, like, reflect on the good parts. And don't feel ashamed to reflect on your wins. Never ever feel ashamed to reflect on your wins. But along with that comes with reflecting on your losses, reflecting on the negative parts. So I took some time, reflected on my wins, felt really good about myself, and then I take some time and I compared my swings, and I broke it down, looked at the things that I did wrong and how I can improve on that in the future. You don't need to have a negative mindset when you're thinking about negative things. Because I was looking at the things that I did wrong, but I didn't have a negative mindset about it. I wasn't thinking, oh my goodness, why did I do that? I'm so wrong and bad at this. No, I was thinking it with a positive mindset, even though it was a negative concept and a negative topic. You don't need to have a negative mindset about negative topics. So, post-performance, you need to reflect on the good, you need to reflect on the bad. Don't be ashamed to reflect on the good, as long as you are also reflecting on the bad. And when you're reflecting on the bad, don't have a negative mindset with it. You don't need to have a negative mindset about negative topics. So just learn. The whole point of reflecting on the negatives is to learn and improve, which ultimately leads to more wins. So ultimately, your ratio of wins to losses, let's say it's 50-50, they're the same size, but slowly it gets like this. Your losses get minimized and your wins get maximized the more you learn and improve from those negative experiences and situations. So that is what I learned today. Just to recap, I talked about how to perform mentally and within your skill. So within your skill, you have your total available skill and you have your total applicable skill. And you're trying to maximize your total applicable skill to match up with your total available skill. And you can do this through certain mindset shifts. So your first mindset shift should be before your performance. You need to prime your brain to think positively and set goals that you can control. Not goals that you can't control, but goals that you can control and try to accomplish those. The next mindset shift that you need to make or add is a mental approach, a mindset approach during the performance. A simple phrase that you know helps you, like a cue that you know helps you specifically and you know has worked for you in the past, that you can just repeat over and over and over again during your performance. That helps you focus and that helps you perform at your best. And then your last mindset shift needs to happen after your performance. So not only do you need to focus on the bad, but you also need to focus on the good. And not only do you need to focus on the good, but you also need to focus on the bad. So reflect on your wins and make sure that you are maintaining those wins and that you are grateful and happy for those wins, but also make sure that you're reflecting on your losses and that you're learning from them and ultimately changing those losses into wins and fixing them and increasing and lengthening and strengthening your win column. If you like this video, then definitely click the like button. Comment down below what thing are you performing at, whether that's a sport or an instrument or a dance or something like that. What kind of performances are you doing? Maybe even a presentation, a school presentation. I am 99% sure that this formula would work for a school presentation as well, because I get really nervous and stressed out over presentations and stuff, and changing my mindset has always helped. So what kind of performance is upcoming, and are you trying to maximize and make the most of it that you can? Comment that down below and we can encourage each other, and hopefully if you guys use these mental shifts, then it'll help your performance improve by a lot. If you want to see more videos like these, then definitely subscribe, because I am posting every single day talking about what I learned that day and how I'm trying to implement it into my life and how you guys can implement it into yours. So if you want to see those kinds of videos, then definitely subscribe. If you want to see a video where I talked about the key to performing at your best, then click on this video, because that is what that is. Check out my channel and binge all my other What I Learned Today videos. If you subscribe, then I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.